because we are so much in the mind these days that it's good to actually connect with ourselves. So how does it feel? How does your body feel? Does it feel good? Is it happy? Is it a bit crunchy? Is it a bit stretched? Is it relaxed? So things that can help every day when we do little sessions like this, 5 minutes. Normally I do a breathing exercise with this, which I'm not going to do for the COVID restrictions. But you can just start with being thankful and grateful for life. Yeah, the life that has been given to us. And it has been given to us by Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is giving so many great things to us. Fire, water, soil, with all the veggies and fruits and all the things that is giving to us, all the animals, the oceans, the air. Think about all the technology of all our ancestors and science that has been created for us, that we can benefit in living a very comfortable life. Let's think about the cities that we want to create. Let's think about this group of people that is here to actually create better cities, improving air quality, improving air congestions, creating more quality lives for the people who live in the cities, creating a better economy also. Think about your families and friends. Think about your children and their children, your grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. And how are they going to live in cities? And what is the legacy you want to leave behind? Think about that for a moment and let it sink in. What is the contribution you want to make to create prosperous and abundant life in cities and around us? Also be thankful to yourself and your body that is carrying us around every day from one point to another. Think about all the things in your body, the millions and billions of cells in your body who are doing all this work to keep you healthy and move forward. You can be thankful to anything in your body, your bones, your muscles, your organs. Your organs can turn breath into life. Think about that. Your heart, the engine of your being, the lungs. Your brain, which is here to create consciousness and become aware of things around you. Your eyes, to see the beauty around you. Your ears, to hear the beautiful noises of nature, of music, voices of the people you love. The nose, to have all these wonderful senses around you. And then your lips, to taste and kiss. You can open your eyes. Now, how does that feel? Good, okay. You can do this every day, and there's a lot more things you can do to actually connect to your body and to connect to what we really want. We live in a society that is very demanding on us. And with technology, which has great advantages, it has also disadvantages. That we wake up now and we go to our phones and we get involved in this whole matrix of information that people want from us, while we don't have the time for ourselves to decide, what do I really want? How do I want to construct my day? How do I want to build my day? How do I want to work together with other people? These are the essences of life, the essences of what makes us happy. So anyway, that's just a little start of my talk. I'm going to give you a talk about conscious cities, not smart cities. We know there's a lot of talk about smart cities the last decades already, but I want to move beyond that because we need a lot more than just technology to create the cities of the future. So in 2050, we're going to be 10 billion people. Most of you know that. 75% will be living in cities. So we live in this great expansion of cities. We have never had moments in time where there have been such a rapid development and growth in cities, in a materialistic way and also population. So what do we do with that? At the same time, we live in huge challenging period. We have COVID, we have climate change, we have lots of places on Earth which go on fire. We have water overflows, flooding and all that. There's so many challenges that we see due to climate change also. We have a lot of pollution, not just in cities or on the land, but also in the oceans. So a lot of pollution due to fossil fuels, yeah, which we can see here. Also with all the transport that is coming from China, and it's polluting all our seas. There's 100,000 mammals, marine mammals, that are killed every year, you know, including dolphins, turtles, whales, and all that. And we don't see all that. We don't hear a lot about it, but it's happening at a rapid scale. Luckily, we have also a young generation of startups who are actually doing things about, for example, plastic pollution. You can see on this slide here, there's like 6 huge jars of plastic pollution that are just like circling in the oceans, and they have the size of the countries of France sometimes. And we have a project in Holland called the Ocean Cleanup, and they actually take that plastic and bring it back to land to do circular economy and circular products with it. We need a lot of these projects because we keep on polluting. We hear a lot of marketing about like what is going to change, but the plastic production is increasing at 20% every year. So what are we really changing? Yeah? Do you really want to change? Can you talk to your children about these things? What is our responsibility? So another side effect is the microplastics. Our rivers, our lakes are polluted with microplastics, which are the tiny little things that come out of fibers from our clothing, from the pollution and all that from different plastics and the erosion actually of the plastic. Just in the Rhine, in the biggest river in Europe, 191 million per day of these microplastics go into the sea. And they go back into the water, they go back into the fish eat them, they come back into our food cycles. So we need to move strongly towards investing in bioplastics. Yeah, we need to stop the circular of using plastics. We can do circular economy with plastic, but most of the plastic can only be recycled one time. I don't know if you know that. Most of it we can only recycle one time, and then maybe a second or a third time for some production. So luckily in Europe we took already some measures on single-use plastic and all that, and it's highly needed. The brands are also starting to look into this. Avian, for example, they say by 2025 they want to do 100% of production of recycled bottles. And they have to, because the younger generation, they don't take any longer. They don't take any longer what companies are doing, or that companies are not taking responsibility. We cannot keep just putting the responsibility on consumers. We all have a responsibility, you know, as governing and also as producer. Invisible killer also with fossil fuels. 8.5 million deaths in 2018 globally related to that. And then we are surprised that the young generation is going in the streets. Why are they going in the streets? Not because they don't like school, because they literally are not agreeing any longer with we don't do anything about it. We don't bring any change. And they feel what's going on. I think that older generations, we have stopped feeling actually. Everything becomes very rationalized, and with technology a lot comes more and more rationalized, but we stop feeling actually what is happening. And they know what's going on. Also look at this statistic from the mindful consumer of like what is going on really. Yeah. What they do not want. Some reading tips I can give you. The Good Ancestor. How many of you have heard about this book or read the book? I really recommend it because it's a book that will make you think about short-termism and long-termism. And how can we prepare also for intergenerational type of innovation. Yeah, because everything is too focused on the short term, on the stock market and all that, which means that we don't think longer term any longer. You know, in 1961, Kennedy said, like, we go to the moon. And that was a one-decade vision. How many of us now, how many government leaders are saying, like, in 1 decade, I want to be there? Everything is like, next quarter, next year, maybe in 2 or 3 years. So we need longer visions. We need to dare also. We need courageous leaders. Another one I can recommend is Mariana Mazzucato. She's one of the world's most influential economists on a mission to save capitalism by itself. And she's also telling that we need to collaborate better. We need to collaborate on a more redistributive and inclusive basis. So I highly recommend her latest book also, which is Mission Economy. So what is happening? We have increasing energy demand, increasing energy cost, CO2 emissions, climate instability, and increasing sea levels, and decreasing fossil fuel reserves, natural resources, time left for action, cost of renewable energy. If you look at solar energy, here you can see the countries who have most invested and also who are most distributing already solar energy. And like for your country here in Russia, as Europe and other states are dependent on gas and petrol, maybe for you, in the future it can be the reverse. Yeah, so maybe the countries who can distribute solar energy will be more beneficial. Also wind energy you have here. China has been investing a lot in these energies, and they will also become one of the superpowers in this area. Here's a slide from BP, from one of their recent energy outlooks, where you can see the business as usual, rapid transition and net zero input from renewables, and also hydrocarbons. How quick or how slow it can go. In Europe, for example, last year they have already bypassed, renewables have bypassed the fossil fuel energy. 38% of the energy produced in Europe was from renewables, 37% only from fossil fuel. So it can go quickly if you have good policies for that. So we need to move from ego to eco to seva. I don't know if you know these words. The ego is basically the period where we have been extracting everything from Mother Earth, and we have been just dumping, the rest of it or the waste of it. And then from 1970 onwards, we come more into an eco model, where we realize that actually the dumping model is not sustainable any longer. Yeah, we need to do something about it. So we have been talking more and thinking more into sustainable and renewable type of things, but we need to go further. The seva model is more like we become one with nature. We realize that we are nature, and we are going to co-create together with nature to make a sustainable and regenerative future. So we go beyond sustainability. Seva is an old Sanskrit word actually, meaning selfless service. And a lot of the new generation already are totally into this selfless service. We are connected to global social entrepreneurs in our network of Conscious Learning Tribe, and a lot of people are totally in this area already. And this is the way to go, because the other way is no way to go if we think about our children and grandchildren. So what does that mean? We need to move from ego more towards the soul, more towards the heart, from mind to heart. We need to more feel what we do instead of just thinking. And there you have a lot of details that you can see of like going from mind to heart, from security to creativity, from knowing to experiencing. So if you think about the economy, we have been in a knowledge economy for a long time. We have been creating a knowledge service economy after World War II, which has been very beneficial, especially for Europe and Western or OECD countries. But now we are moving to a more experience economy. Everybody, who went to the top, who knows something, who know more, go to the top. They are guaranteed earn long and easy life and a good salary. This is totally flipping over now. Knowledge is not important anymore because knowledge is on the internet. It's everywhere. You can find anything everywhere. Now the young generation, they go all about experiences. It's all about experiences. They're not interested anymore in just listening to the same stuff in school, which they know already or they have read on the internet. They want to create or feel and live experiences that make them feel alive, away from the computer, away from technology. So all these things that you see there from ego to soul will be also skills that you will need for the future. So the new sustainability is about regeneration. I don't know how many of you have heard this term, regenerative cultures and all that, regenerative agriculture. The term comes from there, how we can regenerate the soil and actually build from nothing and working with nature and respecting nature in creating more and abundant. In between, sustainable development goals are very handy. Here you can see some of the goals that are used in green building. And they are very handy also in moving in between these two sections. This is a slide from Christian Daniel Wall, who wrote a book, Designing Regenerative Cultures, a book I can highly recommend to all of you. So here you can see how we move from design of technical systems to living systems design. Yeah? And in between we have the SDGs. And below you can see the conventional outlook from the past towards green, sustainable, restorative, and then regenerative. And then all the different elements that come in between. So how does this relate to cities? How can we translate these ideas to cities? One of the other interesting models is the donut economic model from Kate Raworth. How many of you have heard about this model? Oh, wow. So this is another book I can highly recommend. Actually, Amsterdam and there's two other cities, Philadelphia and another city, they are actually using this model already. So the idea here is that inside the donut, you can see all the intrinsic needs that we need as human beings. Yeah? From water, food, energy, health, networks, education, housing, income, gender equality, social equity, political voice, peace, and justice. And then on the outside, you see all the things that we don't need any longer or we don't want any longer. The things that we need to change, from climate change to ocean pollution, chemical pollution, freshwater withdrawal, land conversion, and so on. And the green layer in the middle is actually the layer, which is the perfect layer that we need to have a safe and just space for humanity to live in a city, which is called the donut model. Yeah, the ecological ceiling on the outside, social foundation on the inside. So, and with this, you can create an entire regenerative and distributive economy. These are the models now that are experienced for the future in cities. Here's a map from Future Skills report, which I can highly recommend. This is one of my favorite slides today. You can see where industrial means is going down on this line. And then the digital line is totally going upwards, and the regenerative line is going upwards as well. And this is all happening this decade. Yeah? And to me, this is also what is happening. If we take the best of technology and the best of regeneration, we will create an entire new model, an entirely new type of economy. And below you can see all the skill set. Also below you can see the different clusters that are there. And then all the skill set that will be needed to get to there in this transition. So let's talk a bit about cities and transport, for example. We know we have most of the cities are totally dense with transport. Parkings. Do you know that cars we use only 4% of a day? So some of us, we have 2 cars at home. You know, the man drives to work, the woman drives to work, we drop the children to school, and then we park the car. 96% of the time, the car is parked in cities. 30% of the space in cities is dedicated to parkings. Now with the whole innovation of technology and automation of technology and automation of cars, we will be able to distribute the cars. Yeah? And we will not need cars any longer all by ourselves. We can create an entire distributive system which can be both private and public transport, where actually we can be entirely fully more efficient. And we don't need all these cars any longer. So then just imagine all that space that becomes available to create public spaces, parks for children, for families. Maybe we can build regenerative farming on that, vertical farms on that, and other things, maybe holistic health centers. All the things that people will need in the city. Because we go into a more and more automized world also, where there will be less and less work for people, which I think is a great thing, by the way. So the whole switch towards autonomous vehicles and also electric mobility is happening. And some of the countries spearheading in Scandinavia, Norway, Iceland and Sweden, and then the Netherlands and other countries. Most of the statistics are already a bit further ahead because this is a slide from 2018, I think. So, but again, if the policy, if the government is pushing for green energy and this type of vehicles, we will move faster forward. So how do other cities deal with traffic congestion? In Copenhagen, for example, they created these super highways for bikes. 60% of the traffic in Copenhagen is for city trips that are lower than 5 kilometers or less than 5 kilometers. So easily to do with a bike. So they created this whole network, I think it's 500 kilometers now, just in Copenhagen, for bikers. And it's generating an entire different economy. It's good for health, yeah. I think the building of the networks of the superhighway of one network was like 20 million compared to 2 billion if they would have to do it for cars. So there's a huge economic upside, yeah. And it's good for the planet and it's good for the health. So these type of things are very good in cities. Paris also. They just released a plan where they're going to, the Champs-Élysées in Paris is going to be entirely pedestrian friendly and for biker friendly. This is a 10-year plan where they're going to do that and also in many areas of the city of Paris. More green, less cars, more space for people. In Barcelona, the same. They have all these blocks. So they created this whole super block type of thing where they're going to, for 3 blocks, you know, 9 blocks in the middle that you see that were now all about traffic, up and down. They are creating these super blocks where they're going to create green spaces and green zones for the people. So children will be able to play again in the neighborhood. Back to technology and automation of everything. Here you can see this is a, a startup called Octado, and they are based in, I think it's Coventry in UK. And this is a fully automated warehouse. So by using artificial intelligence, Internet of Things and sensoring, they can create, and then also 5G, they create it in Andover, UK. They create this entire distribution system where they do delivery orders of 65,000 orders per week. Yeah. So, and this is now already, this is not the future. Meanwhile, we can create anything, you know, anything, fruit picking, veggie picking, lots of things will be automized. And this is happening already. Yeah? This is not just in the Amazon buildings, this is a lot in agriculture is happening. Indoor farming. We see more and more of that, and there's huge investments also in this area because it's 95% less water consumption and 400% more productivity. This is an example in Philadelphia. The Aeroforce, I know it's New Jersey. So, and they produce already daily to Whole Foods, yeah, to big retail brands. So meanwhile in Europe, the biggest vertical farm will be powered by wind and planted by robots. This is in Denmark, and I think it's going to be 7,000 square meters. So also think about distribution of things. Distribution of water, for example. Why do we need all these plastic bottles of water coming from the other side of the country to me? Yeah? Why do we need to spend all that money now in plastic recovery or plastic recuperation, or we talk about circular economy? Why now the technology exists that we can just put a filter of 39 euro on your water tap to have drinking water? Yeah? So ask the right questions. Yeah, before you start developing, you know, new projects and visions, ask the right questions. Do we really need that? Have we done enough research to see what is going out there, what exists? Also, they can also track your CO2 output, of course, but more important, especially in cities, they can also detect in water pipes, actually, the quality of the water. Because when they connect the different types of water filters, they are interconnected with Internet of Things. So they can also see like the quality of water in buildings and then intervene when it's necessary. With blockchain technology, we have this example of ripe.io, which is actually telling you what is in your plate, the quality of the food in your plate. Yeah, where it comes from, how has it been harvested, how has it been cultivated, has it been used by pesticides or with organic, what was the CO2 output of the truck bringing it to you, and all these things. Another one is provenance. They actually also tell you how much CO2 output has been created to bring that apple, in that retail center. I think in an average retail center in the UK, there's 26 different type of apples. And they all come from different regions. So they all have a different CO2 output. So this makes you think also as a consumer, like, what is happening? Why do I need to eat this apple from Sicily? Yeah. So we're going back. I don't know if you hear my story, but we will go back to more and more localized food production everywhere. So on the blockchain also we have WePower, for example, is a blockchain green energy trading platform, yeah, where buyers and producers can interchange energy. And I'm going to go back to transport here on ethical automation. When I see this video, I always think, when I was playing with the trains as a kid, it looks so flawless and fluid. And this is happening in the port of Rotterdam. There is not one single human on this terrain. Everything is fully automized. And this is going to happen in cities, with transport, with distribution, with everything. And these are things we can focus on because this is technology and it's possible. And even in heavy industries and manufacturing and distribution, we use this already. Most of the big ports in the world are already fully automized. Also important in distribution is this blockchain platform, which is called TradeLands. It's a collaboration with IBM. And there actually they bring all the partners and ecosystem partners together on one platform using blockchain. And they provide everything that is needed, all the paperwork, the documents that can go from one partner to another in the ecosystem to create a fluid transition and distribution. So, and these are all open platforms, as we call it. They are not fully open, of course, but they use the blockchain as a decentralized type of platform. And a lot of the younger generation actually only wants to work in decentralized platforms. Not just from a technical perspective, but just from a philosophical perspective. They don't want to work for larger corporations any longer. Why? Because they really don't find themselves in their values any longer. So they create so many of their own projects. Also in container, which the slide I showed earlier, we have fully automated container ships and will be fully also energy, I think this one is solar powered, will be able to operate. This one, I think, comes out of the shelves in 2022. It's in Norwegian, but we need like so many of those. If you see that all these containers are running on bunk fuel, which is the worst polluting petrol, yeah. So we need to move our investments to these type of areas. If you look at artificial intelligence, yeah, we need to create or we need to use artificial intelligence based on human values. Systems should be designed, operated to be cooperative with ideas of human dignity, rights, freedoms, and cultural diversity. Shared benefit and prosperity. And ecosystem thinking and also responsible. Yeah, for those that design, build, to run these systems are more moral stakeholders. Yeah, this is not what we have now. The platform economy is totally unbalanced. Most of the power goes back to Silicon Valley. Yeah, and we know who's in charge there. So these are really things to think about. Yeah. If you don't want to operate like that, then start building something new that you can use in 5 years. 3 to 5 years, you can build entire new systems. So there's a lot to do there. Also, Erik Brynjolfsson, he's one of the leaders in MIT, also in AI, and work on ethical AI. And he says the choice isn't between automation and not automation. It's between whether you use the technology in a way that creates shared prosperity or more concentration of wealth. And this is the entire discussion of now, yeah, for policy leaders. And if you develop things, this is the discussion. Yeah? There's only one or the other way to go. If you want to stay in the old paradigm of creating wealth just for the few, you can stay, but the flow and the trends are moving somewhere else. I can tell you that. So meanwhile, with Internet of Things, we can literally track everything. Yeah? From air pollution, water pollution to traffic lighting, we can interconnect everything. So there's a lot of intelligence, and this is why we call smart cities, when we bring technology on this level that we can bring in the cities. Yeah? And if we can use this towards human benefit, it's a great thing. Also lots of drones. Yeah, we have drones. Amazon has already a drone for delivery. They do experiments already in different areas. You have drones that can work and operate inside the warehouse and read the barcodes and all that. You have drones for first aid with a heart hydrofibrillator. And then you have also the drone on the bottom right is from Boeing that can actually carry heavy loads up to 250 kilo already. We also have lots of flying cars. Yeah. On the left, top left, you see one from Airbus, which is actually a pod you can drive in the city, and then a device will take the pod and bring it to the other side of the city. On the top right, you can see the e-hang, which is used in Dubai already as taxis. On the top left down, which is one that will be used more adventurous in nature, which is an investment from Larry Page from Google. And on the right down, you can see the Aeromobile, which is from a Slovakian designer. You can order this Aeromobile for $1 million now to be delivered in 2022. So I also heard that Kazan Helicopters is one of the biggest producers in Kazan here, or in this area. So I was also wondering, why are they not going into these areas? Because this is an area where there's huge growth, huge demand, especially in cities. This is going to be one of the transports of the future. And the technology is there, and it's pretty easy. So you can also, from one region, you can decide to focus on, one specific area and become one of the leaders in the world. Intelligent buildings. This building, sorry, oops, too fast. This is the building, The Edge in Amsterdam, which is one of the most intelligent buildings in the world. It is powered by solar energy. It recuperates rainwater that is used as wastewater. It has lots of sensoring inside, so when you arrive with your car, it knows who you are. There is a whole system of how to operate the meeting rooms and all that. How to use the electricity, how to create lighting, and even temperature inside the buildings. So super intelligent. So here is a slide also that you can see. This is from World Economic Forum, of how ultra-efficient buildings are made now. And this is really important that we focus also on all these different areas, from digitally enabled buildings with analytics to efficiency, flexible loads, and then clean electrification, decarbonization, smart energy and infrastructure. So we invest in these areas. Yeah, because the old infrastructure is, we can even, update it, but it's also a lot about creating new, sustainable and regenerative type of housing. Meanwhile, with 3D printing, we can 3D print anything. The chair is 3D printed with mycelium, which is a type of, is the roots of the mushroom. We can 3D print houses. There's more and more companies in these areas. We can also 3D print more composite 3D printing with very high quality materials that we can use in bikes, for example. We can 3D print screen. We can 3D print organs. Yeah. I'm not going to go too deep in that. Also, we can 3D print steel now for construction areas in a more, in a better way. And here, this company here, which is called Hybrid, has just delivered like fossil-free steel, and they are already experimenting with that. So there's a lot of innovation also in materials. Yeah? Fossil-free free. There's a lot of experiments also with sustainable cement, yeah, that we can infuse with different type of materials to create a more sustainable output. Just cement is 8% of the global CO2 emissions. And if they don't change that by 2050, it can be a quarter, yeah, because everything else is going down. We can also use wood. This building, for example, is in Berlin, is a new project which is now being built. I think it's 29 stores or something, 100-meter tower, yeah, and it will be entirely built on timber. Other examples here is this stadium in Taiwan, which is entirely self-sufficient on energy, yeah, using solar energy. And then we have other cities like the world's first forest city, which is in Zhuohong in China, where they actually take all the new technology and put it in the forest. Yeah? So an entirely sustainable on energy, on food, and also on water. Here's another one in Mexico, designed by the same designer, which is Stefano Burri, Architetti, yeah. And here we have the same, entirely self-sustainable on water, food production, and also energy production. Here you see another shot of it. These are some designs for Paris by the agency Callebaut. You probably have seen those. This is a very old slide of mine. But it's all about vertical, you know, farming upwards, using new type of materials, even wind power or, you know, renewable energy power trains. We hardly see any cars anymore. We have more public spaces with more green. Here you see another one of these designs. And then there's a project also from the EU, which is called Biodiversities by 2030, where they actually are investing and they are releasing a lot of money for funding to actually restore the biodiversity of cities and the biodiversity of the natural elements. Yeah, other examples in Singapore, for example, they're going to plant 1 million trees, yeah, to protect its future. In Madrid, for example, they decided to create a forest ring around the city, you know, to bring down CO2 output. Another trend, however, is also that a lot of the young generation, they are fed up with waiting on the changes in the cities. They move back to the country and they create regenerative communities. In summer, I lived 2 weeks in a regenerative community in Ibiza, and it was amazing. So they produce entirely their local food. They have an entirely self-sufficient system, and they work all together in creating, you know, a very healthy and happy community. They all use different techniques, solar and wind electricity, building with natural and recycled materials, nature-based. They also do a lot of water harvesting, food production, and also thermal solar heating and cooling. And they also have contained sewage treatment. So from these type of communities, we can also learn a lot for cities of how can we create more sustainable buildings and sustainable housing. Because all these things are out there. It's not they don't exist. We just need to put them together. So we're going to have to work in full collaboration, what I call hyper-collaboration. Yeah, we need to move beyond left and right, beyond communism and capitalism. We need to go beyond and think in a human way. You know, what do we want for our children? What do we want for our grandchildren? What do we want for their grandchildren? Yeah? We are all here on this planet to do something, you know, positive. Yeah, and we need to move out of our old belief systems that we need to suffer, you know, to do things. You know, our old belief system is all about suffering because there was a lot of suffering in the past, and we carry that suffering with us. But we don't need to suffer. You know, it's just a belief system. And we need to change all these belief systems. That's why we need to spend a lot of time, and I see an entire new economy of human-to-human relationship, human-to-human healing. Because this is what we need. How many of you are really connected to yourself? Or really doing what you want? Yeah? Is it really you, or is it the society calling you? So we can inverse entirely the cycles, change our belief systems, our assumptions, our addictions. Why do we have such an addictive consumer society? Why? Do you want your children to live in this society? I don't. I'm sorry. So why are you contributing to creating this type of societies? Why are we not inversing it? Yeah? So we need to really collaborate with everyone, because we all have a role to play in making this society a better society. Here are some of the trends. This is also from this skills report. Emergent paradigms of the 2020s. And I totally agree with them. Yeah? So we need to become smarter, use technology for the benefit of humanity. Not just for the benefit of the few, for the benefit of humanity. Because we can do a lot better than this. Yeah? Everything is going to go relocalized. Yeah? I don't know if you see already, but China is totally already operating in that mode. They are kicking out all foreign investment and whatever. Yeah? And they're going to focus on their local economy. And a lot of the economies are going to go like that, whether you like it or not. This is part of the young trends also. It's going to be more and more creative. We need to co-create the future. You have heard these words before, especially in design areas. We need to co-create the future. Not from a horizontal level any longer, but from a vertical level, but from a horizontal level. So we do workshops where everybody is co-creating. Everybody contributes to something. Experience-based, I mentioned it already. Knowledge-based doesn't matter any longer anymore. The more you know, the less you're important. Complex, network, yes. Life and systems are getting complex, so we need people who understand complexity. And then regeneration, regenerative. Yeah? How can we truly contribute to life and leave life, when we go, better than when we came? Yeah? Because why are we leaving a worse future to our children? We don't think about these things any longer. We don't learn this in school anymore. Yeah? So we really need to get back to basics, foundations. And here are the fundamental skills for the future. So what is critical? Cognitive foundational. You know, adaptability, critical and creative thinking, multidisciplinary, versatility and systems thinking, and then learning to learn, learning to unlearn and relearn in a different way. Technical and digital. Yeah, of course, this is an area that's totally going forward. And there's also something what we call the exponential gap. Technology is moving so fast, and as humanity, we can only comprehend this much. So there's such a gap that is growing and growing that we also need to understand and need to intervene of like, what do we want with technology? And then socio-economic and cultural and green, universal and well-being. Very important for the future. And I'm coming back to this donut from Kate Rayward, and I would like to add what people need the most is connection. Yeah, I don't know if you understood something, or the lesson that we have learned from this COVID is that people want connection. Yeah. We do a lot of research, and as I think there was a question about remote, that there will be more and more remote work. Yes, because people want more remote work, because they are fed up with sitting in traffic jams and going to work and spending time there that is useless. They want quality time. And then they want to be with each other. Yeah. So we do also a lot of online workshops, but everybody we ask, they want to have real workshops, real retreats. They want to be with people. It's this connection that we are lacking. Why half of the OECD countries is struggling with burnouts? 1 out of 5 children has mental health problems. These are not good numbers, you know, so we need to pay attention to this. So connection, and going back to that connection, is super important. And then breathing leadership. This is a program we designed with the university, Nijrode University in Holland. It's all about this. It's bringing back the connection to the heart, bringing back the connection to self, yeah, to the foundations. And then once we have these foundations, we work also on the qualities. What are the qualities of the future? We need courage. We need resilience. We need intuition. We need creativity. cooperation, compassion. These are the new words of the future. Yeah? And we work with global thought leaders in this program. There's 4 retreats. Everything can also be followed online. And then once we go through that change, we start designing the future with a different mindset and a different view on the world in a regenerative way, not just sustainable. Sustainable is not longer good enough. We need to do better. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your impressive performance. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your questions. Any questions, any ideas from our audience? Please, if you have. Yeah, sure.
Thank you for so interesting lecture. And I have 2 questions. The first one. What is your opinion? Which steps we should take to solve the most pressing environmental problems? What we should do first?
The most urgent one is to change ourselves. That's the most urgent one, because we keep repeating the same mistakes. We live on the surface, so it's like we're in this bubble of continuously creating innovation on the surface. Everybody, always a new problem. Oh, there's a new problem, a new startup, a new solution, until we have another problem. Yeah? What we need to do is go deep to the foundation, yeah, of what do we really want? What is it that we are? What do we stand for? How do we want to live? I think also in next generations. First, we change ourselves, and then we can start innovating in a very different way.
Thank you. And the second question. Tomorrow we will discuss the problem of human capital, but I have a question about the human characteristics, and you told about it. If you have leadership skills, if you work hard, if you are talented, and if you can take a risk, you will earn more. But what about the circumstances of your birth? For example, your family, the economical conditions of your family, the place of birth, the gender, and other. How to equalize these conditions? How to give possibilities for a person in these kind of conditions?
That's a very good question, yeah, and it's not, I don't have the immediate answer for that. I think there's a whole system that we need to change. Yeah? So I think we are at the end of a system. Yeah? The young generation, they are in the streets because they see the collapse of a system in front of us. They still go to school, they learn the same things as I was doing 50 years ago. Meanwhile, the whole world has changed. Everything has changed. But they don't learn these skills now that I'm talking about in school. They are not learning this. And these will be the most important skills for the future. And the ones who learn that will be the most able also to work with that. But I believe that wherever you're born, you know, you have a mission. You know, and of course there's people who are born in terrible conditions, but we also have beautiful stories of people who move out of their condition. Yeah? Because they have that vision, they have that, I don't know how you call it, you know, they are called to do something better or to improve the situation or become a role model for others. And I think we need to become role models for others. Because now what are the role models? It's all corruption, it's all violence, it's all too much. Yeah? So we need to create new role models of people who are healthy, who take responsibility, yeah? And who are willing to contribute and to share with others. Yeah? Because this is what you do in a community. What I learned in these regenerative communities is that whatever shit happens to you, they come and help you. Do that in the society now and they go and laugh at you. So we need to reverse the whole thing. We really need to think about the basics. So that's what I would recommend.
Interesting idea. Thank you for your answer. More questions? Yeah, sure.
Спасибо, господин де Waele, за ваше выступление. Казанскому вертолетному заводу.
Thank you, Mr. de Waele. Thank you, Mr. de Waele. We absolutely will pass on to Kazan Helicopter plant. We give your presentation, and today they have heard it online, and I'm aware that they have perspective developments in terms of the areas that you have developed, and this is the first one. The first question. The second question, the technological revolution that we are observing at the moment, in your opinion, will it lead to further gap in the development of the countries, or it will allow us to overcome the gap, and we will see that the developing countries and developed countries, they will come closer to each other?
Lisan is the vice president of the NACAM innovative cluster of Tatarstan, and first of all she said that she will send your advice to the Kazan Helicopter factory, and she said that they are already doing some things in that direction. And her question was about what do you think about this technology revolution? Does it lead to a more inequality between countries, or we prosper somewhere in future more cohesion and these lagging countries, so they could be more equal to the developed one?
Well, I think competition is one of the belief systems also that is part of a belief system. You know, if we are in that belief system, we will create more competition until somebody will win and somebody will lose. In collaboration, nobody wins, nobody loses. We all win. So I think that's the mindset that we need to change also. But that is going to go gradually, because we have the competition of regions, we have the competitions of companies, we have the competitions of countries. Yeah, if you look at the power of China versus US, about Russia, Europe, all these, big powers, it's all about economy and things from the past, which are based on land and based on extraction of the land, yeah, which are concepts of the past. They are still concepts of the past. We will still be able to use those because we need to transition to a different future, but I see the future will be very different. Yeah, I think most of good technology will be, with recycled materials. It will be totally circular, yeah. It can be reused. Many of the things can be 3D printed now. All the technology becomes more and more mass production also, and they become cheaper, yeah. So what we need to think about are also companies like Facebook, who is already the biggest country in the world. Yeah, if we all talk about digital economy, then there is already the biggest country, and there's no competition. So we should think about that, whether that's a healthy model, because this is the model that we have created. Yeah, the winner takes all. Amazon, same story. Apple, same story. Google, same story. Winner takes all, this is the result. If this is the future that you want to live in, if this is the trust that you give to these companies, then fine. But I'm not signing up for that.
Thank you. More questions, dear participants? Yes, I see. Можно попросить передать микрофон?
First of all, thank you for such an interesting and informative speech. And I also have two questions. Could you please explain which factors have a greater impact on achieving the goals of technological progress? The geographical location of countries, human capital, or maybe institutions?
I think it's a combination of the three. Yeah? What we see now as the successful regions are the ones that have been funded, or developed by a vision. Yeah? Silicon Valley is not just about entrepreneurs. It has been funded heavily by the American government for years, yeah? Because it invested in space technology, yeah? Which then became the basis of actually the technology and the innovation we know now. If you look at Israel, for example, the Israel Technology Hub, it's because the country had a vision and they want to invest. So I believe if you have a region, you really need to sit together with the people, yeah, the citizens, and then create actually the vision of what do you want. And then together with the government, with the industry, the private sector, with the universities, with the startups, the entrepreneurs, you create a shared vision and then you go. What I learned in my life is it's all about you need to dream the vision. We forgot to dream. How many of you dream? you know? No, but yeah, good, yes, okay, great. But you know, and then how many of you realize those dreams? Yes, at least some of you, yes, okay. No, but this is it, right? Life is about dreaming and realizing your dreams. So, and we forgot to dream because society is just like asking things from us and they don't want us to dream. But if you dream and you focus on that, you manifest, you have intention, you get there, always. I don't know anyone who has not realized his dreams, who has intended to do that. They all do. Maybe not immediately, but after a while they always do. That's why they are the happiest people in the world, because they just realize their dreams. Life is simple, you know. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. And is it possible to implement smart cities projects in a culture of distrust of government institutions? Will this be a real development?
This is also a very thin line of like, you know, with technology we can use it for the good, for the bad. Technology is not bad, yeah? Technology is just, it just is. Is what we do with it can be good or bad. If you look at China, for example, they have all this, you know, surveillance policy about governing their citizens in a certain way so they behave properly. Why they do that and why we don't understand it, they may have their own reasons for it. Maybe it's the best solution they have as of now. But for every system that has been, if the audience or the citizens do not agree with it any longer, there comes a revolution. It doesn't matter from where. So how good you want to control your people, there will always be, the people will always be right at some point. Yeah? And I don't believe in this, that we are now creating this technological bubble that we can control people with it. I don't believe it. Because lots of the people that I know, they go off, totally off technology. And they go live in regenerative communities. So if you think that technology is the future, there is another. There's always another future. There's always another answer. There's always another world out there that we create. We are very creative people. We are very creative beings. So I think it depends on what you want to do with it, of course. But yeah, I think to, you know, organize cities and a lot of people, I think it's very good to use technology in a certain way. But it has to be transparent and in consent with the citizens. Yeah? If I don't have a problem with sharing certain type of privacy if I get something in return, that's fine. But if I know that the government only takes or resells my data to do something with it that I don't agree with, that's not okay with me. So I think it's finding the right balance of that thin line.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, many thanks to our speaker, Rudy de Waele. Thank you. So, dear participants of the conference, and now we are ready to invite you to have a lunch. You can choose Tapas or Palace restaurant, and see you here half an hour later. It will be our short break time, okay? So enjoy your meal, enjoy your time, and it seems that it's time also to have a small talk about all your impressions, all the impressions you have during the conference here. Дамы и господа, сейчас мы с большим удовольствием приглашаем вас на обед, на ланч. Он будет проходить в ресторане Tapas и в ресторане Palace. Вы можете выбрать один из тех ресторанов, которые вам нравятся. Мы приглашаем вас в наш основной зал сюда через 30 минут. У нас будет небольшая пауза на обед. Увидимся с вами здесь через полчаса. Впереди еще увлекательнейшая сессия, а точнее 2. Желаю вам приятного аппетита и приятного общения.